You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast.
You're listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. My name is Shawn Wilkie, and along with my awesome co-host, we interview the innovators in this space every week. I'm super excited to introduce a new friend from the weird world of in-person conferences that I met just a couple months ago. Ivan, please go ahead and get us started.
Hi, I'm Ivan Zach, and I'm very excited to introduce our guest today. And this is a special episode since Shawn is recording it from a hotel bathroom. So, but starting with that, I'm excited to introduce Lorien Clemens. Lorien is the co-founder and CEO of PetHub Inc. She is a host and editor of Pet Lover Geek podcast. She was honored by the Pet Age magazine as one of the pet industry's women of influence. She was also named the Pet Industry Network 2014 Pet Industry Woman of the Year and was a keynote speaker at their national conference. Lorien, welcome to the show. Thank you for finding the time.
Thank you so much. And I apologize if you heard my chair move because I just got my puppy chewing up a piece of, looks like a chapstick. So yay, you're in the bathroom and I'm dealing with a puppy. So let's go.
The commitment level to get this podcast recorded is at an all-time high. So nice to see you again.
Great to see you. Really great to see you.
So, Lorien, can you tell us a little more about PetHub and what it does and how does that influence the world of pet industry?
I'd love to. So folks that know PetHub probably know PetHub as the digital ID tag folks. And that is the first application that we built upon our platform. But our platform is a centralized data platform for pets and pet parents to manage all of their data and their information about their pets and then use it sort of as the starting point to do lots of things. So when Tom started it, and then I came along a couple months later, Tom Arnold, my co-founder, our CTO, it was all about feeling frustrated when there was moments of crisis with your pet, and then you're having to scramble to get everything together, whether it be vaccination records or what was the name of that place that I was getting, her food, that special food that I got for her last time, and what the heck am I going to do now that she's lost? What microchip do I have again? I can't remember where I'm supposed to go to update it. And so there was all these times that he had recently had in his life where he thought this should be easier. He was working for Microsoft at the time, building incredible solutions for humans. He thought, as humans, we build solutions that do all this for us and help us keep all this information in one great place. Why don't we have something like this for pets? And so that was his idea when he first started, and first started with that core essential thing of there's an issue with lost pets, and there's an issue with having enough information when a pet is lost. At the time he started, the two solutions that were out there was a stamped or etched metal ID tag, literally invented before the Civil War, which is still the standard of ID that's used in a lot of veterinarians and municipalities for licenses. And then you had microchips, which if you look at the microchip industry themselves, there's a lot of issues there with out-of-date, unregistered ID tags and the time it takes a lot of veterinarians to get a pet home via a microchip. You wish you could just scan it, boom, you're done, but that isn't the case. If you talk into a lot of veterinarians and municipal shelters, it can take a long time to track those down. So he thought there's got to be an easier way. So the first application that he built on our platform was a QR coded pet ID tag. It links to an online profile. It's a free profile, has multitude of different data points for the pet parent to keep, and they can change it anytime they want for free, anytime, anywhere. They don't have to go through a lot of hopes to get the information changed. It's just right there. And then all anybody has to do is either call the phone number that's on the back of every single tag. It's a free toll-free number. It's free to the pet parent as well. Or they can scan the QR and it instantly gets them to the pet's profile.
So Lorien, quick question for you. QR codes have become this new thing ever since COVID. You guys were doing QR codes starting when?
So Tom actually filed the patent for a QR coded pet tag in 2010. And wow. He actually saw it at a conference for Founders Institute, which is a startup accelerator. And it was the first time he'd ever heard of him, first time he'd ever seen him. He thought, this is genius. Put it on an ID tag, filed the patent on that. And we started doing it. And I have to tell you, there was a lot of education to just teach people what is this squiggly black and white thing on the back of this tag. People had never seen a QR. They didn't know how to use it. And it started to come out in 2011, 2012. Marketers were using it, not very well, I might add, when they first started using. So there was a little bit of a tough road for us in terms of getting that education out. But what we found was it still was remarkably effective with the QR code and the quick access to that pet parent's information. we were getting pets home faster than shelters and veterinarians and the general public had seen. We were getting pets home 96% home in 24 hours or less. More than half of them were getting home in 4 hours or less, and less than 2% of them were ever hitting a shelter door. So we knew that our tags were extremely effective. It was just that education piece of getting, people to understand like what this QR code thing was. It's just so new. We were first to market. So the pandemic has helped us tremendously in terms of educating people on how to use QR. And even before the pandemic, I will say that we would be out in public and talking with people. We'd started doing a lot of pet licensing around then. And people, particularly people under the age of 40, would look at that QR coded tag and be like, oh, cool, that must go to an online profile, right? They instantly got what it was supposed to do. So that education piece has now really gotten shortened for us. So it's much easier for us to get people to instantly understand what we're doing. But it was a little bit of a tough road at first.
Yeah, that's I love because I was traveling several times to Ukraine back and forth and through pandemic and everything. They're using not only during pandemic, but all the restaurants don't have menus anymore. You just come in and scan QR code and a lot of information. I love the marketing angle of this. I've seen it at the conferences. People have it on the back of their T-shirt, and then you're drawn to actually scan it. What is there? You kind of go to their website. So I thought it was cool, but you really remind me about this problem of lost pet because I haven't actually experienced it in a while. But when I lived in Toronto about 10 years ago, I lived with a roommate who had a deaf dog. His name was Wilson, and I opened the door and Wilson left. And then there's me driving around the neighborhood yelling. Well, I couldn't yell because he's deaf. So I was just kind of driving around looking for a deaf dog and ended up finding him in the local pound and actually paying some fees and stuff. So the problem is there. And I can see how it's appealing to public and someone who wants to secure their pet, they would be looking for the solution. But this is the podcast that is aimed to veterinarians. So how could veterinarians leverage what you have and what angle is interesting for them?
That's a great question. So, and it's actually very timely because just this year we've officially launched a rabies tag option for veterinarians. A lot of veterinarians have to provide rabies tags in their clinics. In some places it's provided by the municipality, but in more places the veterinarians themselves have to purchase the tags. And so in the past, when we were doing ID tags, when we first started, the cost was pretty high. We were doing a lot of our manufacturing domestically. We've changed dramatically the way we do manufacturing so that we can get that cost way down. So that's no longer, keeping people from wanting to do it. And we've also really opened up how customized the tags can be. So when we talked to veterinarians in the past, they said, well, it's got to be a certain shape, it's got to be a certain color, and it's got to have this variable information on the front and the back and all those kind of things. So those are now things that we can do. And so we've launched our official rabies tag channel, and we've already got several clients that are working. We're right now the rabies tag in Nashville and in Memphis and in Winnebago County, Illinois. And so veterinarians are already seeing the benefits of this when they no longer have those calls coming to their front desk to get those lost pets home. It's coming to us with our free toll-free call center. And then people are self-serving. They're not even having to go through the veterinarian. So it's saving them tons of time, which means money, and time that right now, let's face it, the veterinarians are overwhelmed with the surge of new pets that are coming into the clinics, and having that extra time of not having to pick up the phone and help a pet get home. We're taking that off the plate for them. Plus, we're giving them a really unique marketing opportunity. It's no longer just this really generic stamped metal ID tag. It's the color that your government ordinance says that you have to have for that year. It's the shape. If you have to have a specific shape, we've got that covered for you. But we still allow you to put your clinic's logo on the front and have whatever information that you want for your clinic. And we talk to clinics all the time that are using our tags as either a wellness tag or just, the tag that they give out to all new clients that come in. We've had those kind of veterinarian clients for years, but they're so excited because they know that those tags are actually driving in business and helping them keep business because it sets them up as really a progressive, tech savvy business, which young pet parents are very attracted to.
Yeah, Lorien, that's amazing. So there's so much for me to unpack here. But the first question I want to ask you is, you guys are a software company that has a digital ID tag. So let's talk about the software side of the business a little bit and the innovation behind the idea, because I found it fascinating when we got a chance to meet in Kansas City just about a month ago.
Yeah, happy to talk about that. I mean, so let's start first with the lost pet recovery because that's what we're talking about, but then I can kind of shift into the other things that we're doing, which I think are even more exciting. So, as far as the lost pet recovery goes, there's a profile that the pet parent can, like I said, add any information anytime they want, change anytime they want. They have a safety circle that they can create, unlimited emergency contacts. A lot of microchips and other places have limited contacts. We don't care if they can put as many as they want on them. We're not going to charge them extra for it. They can even have a safe spot that's there. And all of this is going into our data system. And no matter how the tag is accessed, whether it be through the phone, whether it be through the website, or whether it be through a scan, the person that's finding it will either be given all that information if the pet parent has made it public, or if they've made it private, then only the shelter or our call center will have access to those. But then we're able to instantly start connecting everybody. So we start a text phone tree that was, hey, Fifi's been found. And if the person who found the pet has allowed us to get GPS off of their phone, we say, and here's where she is, where she's been found. So we're getting a GPS map. Now, that part is part of our premium solution, which is one of the ways that we make money. For a couple bucks a month, you can get the premium lost pet recovery solutions. You can also send out a virtual lost pet poster in a 50-mile radius to all the shelters, vets, dog centers that are in your town. And it's a virtual lost pet poster. So as information changes, you can update it right then and there. So that's the core part of that lost pet recovery. We have other tools that we're adding and adjusting all the time. But the really exciting thing, I think, from us is that original dream of creating one place where you could do so much for your pet from that one place. That's really now coming to fruition. We're approaching 1 million pets on the site. We'll be there in spring. And we've been having conversations over the last year and a half in these small pilot targeted programs where we having conversations to see what pet parents are looking for and where we can give them help. And what we found is pet parents are really hungry, particularly new pet parents are really hungry for that baseline core pet education about what does this mean, or what am I supposed to do about this, or how do I read a dog food bag? Like those simple core things, which a lot of times they would go to a veterinarian for, but again, time, not having a lot of time with veterinarians, particularly in the pandemic when a lot of it's curbside care. And so even with the, telehealth and all those type of things, there's a disconnect right now from pet parents being able to easily get that information. So they're going to Dr. Google, or they're going to Facebook or whatever social media they happen to be fans of, and looking for information there, which can of course be helpful, but at the end of the day, it's not, scientifically based. Usually it's not third party verified, that kind of thing. It's usually very skewed. So what we're trying to do with these little targeted things is trying to give that pet parent information. We're working with veterinarians, we're working with the scientists that are developing, these new tools and things like that to say, here's the basic science, here's the basic understanding of that. You want to learn more, you can talk to these folks over here, but this is the basic part of it. And what we found is that they were so excited about these really short education pieces that were given to them in multiple modalities. So a video, infographics, text, audio, podcast. We try to take that same little bit of pet parent education and give it in multiple different ways. We found that people were excited that there was a way to engage with the content that fit their learning styles, and they were asking for more. And our customer care team is saying, okay, I've got somebody that's asking for something about aromatherapy, or hey, I've got people writing them in, do we have anything about CBD, like what we just did with the dental health thing? So we know that pet parents are excited about that. So that's what we're building now, and we're really excited. And as far as the veterinary space goes, it opens up so many opportunities for us to collaborate, to help get out this meaningful, science-backed, great pet parent education to help set them up for success with their pets.
So I might throw either a curveball or a softball. I'm not sure which one is going to be. So in terms of the data privacy and everything else, and now we have the CCPA. The Europe is has been under GDPR now a couple of years.
Yep.
With all of this disclosure of information to strangers that found your dog, is there a sort of map that you navigate within? Because my assumption that CCPA will sort of go across US and Canada in similar fashion as the GDPR. So is there particular encryption protocols you have to follow? And how does this whole thing managed from privacy perspective?
I love that question.
So is it softball? Okay, I feel good.
So we, first and foremost, our background is as tech nerds, and Tom's background was in software testing and privacy. Like I said, he was years at Microsoft, and he was actually several of his startups had to do with security and encryption and testing of software so that it couldn't get hacked and things like that. So that's actually his, wheelhouse from the pre-PetHub days. And so we take it very seriously. When we run tests continually on our site, and we are always in the A plus range for security. And if we get down to an A, that's not good enough. We have to get back up to the A plus range. So we take that very seriously. Our core belief on data is that we don't get to decide what happens with your data. It is your data. You should be able to control what happens with your data when you're working with a company. So we really look at it. This is the pet parents' data, and we're simply here to help them facilitate and leverage their data in ways that will help them better raise their pets and get the services that they're looking for and that they need. So we are completely transparent with, like, this is what we're using this data for. This is what we're using this data for. And we ask permission for every step. They have full control of what's seen when that tag is scanned. If they've decided, you know what, I only want the pet's picture to show up. I don't even want their name to show up. We talk about this creepy guy at the dog park scenario that especially for young women, I don't want them knowing anything about me or my dog that they can use against me. So in that case, you're going to scan that tag. You're going to see the picture of the dog. So, okay, yeah, this dog belongs to this tag type of thing. And then all the phone number you're going to get is our call center. And when our call center gets that phone call to help the dog, they're going to see red boxes around everything, which means that this person has locked down all of their identification pieces, and all of that must be anonymized. So text messages that goes out, phone calls that get bridged, it's all anonymized so that we can protect the privacy of the people involved.
That's perfect answer. Yeah, thank you.
It's critical.
Definitely a softball. It was as if you guys set that up before the call.
We did not. But I have to tell you that security and privacy is a big deal for all of us. I mean, the last thing we want is that you're trying to protect your pet, and then either you got a creepy guy at the dog park getting your information, or somebody's using your information to, spam you or whatever. We don't want spamming on our end. So why would we create a product that would allow for that kind of thing? So we take it all very seriously.
So Lorien, what's exciting? What's the future hold? Like, what's getting you super jazzed about this company, which from minute one that I met you, I knew you were. So what's in the future, and why are you so excited?
Well, I have to say that every day fills my love bucket at PetHub since the very beginning. I can remember very distinctly on Christmas Eve, we got our very first dogs home in 2011. We actually were traveling in Brazil when we got the call from our team that was back in Seattle and said, "Oh my gosh, guys, we did it. We did it." And the tags had just been out for a couple of months at that point. But we had actually gotten a dog named Bella and her neighbor who decided to follow her home in Memphis. And it was exciting. So from that very moment, everyone at the company is on the same email blast that goes out. And we know of every dog that's gotten home that day. And it used to be like one or two dogs a week. Now it's like, 3 or 4 dogs an hour. So we're at about 30,000 pets that we've gotten home over the last 10 years. And that right there just fills my love bucket. So I know that we're saving lives. I also know that we're saving municipalities money so that they can be spending that money on things that are desperately needed. So if we're helping to take those things off of their plate, that's wonderful. Same will go true as we continue to build out this rabies tag program for veterinarians. Taking that time spent on the phone, getting those lost pets home, we're happy to take that on. That gives their staff more time to do critical life-saving things, and we want to do that for them. And then that place that I just talked about, that pet parent education. I mean, we're now looking at building, AI machine learning systems that help you get the information that you need the way you need it, personalized for you, personalized for your pet at the time you need it for your pet's life. I mean, that's thrilling to me. I'm a former educator. My background was in curriculum development. So I get so excited when I realize this thing that we thought folks might want and need, they're saying, yes, we want and need that. So that's really exciting.
Lorien, so we talked about the technology and the different aspects of what you do, but I think that if there's people that are listening here from sort of new business models that would want to know, how do you make money?
That's a great question. So we're built on 3 aspects of our business: protect, share, and nurture. So the protect piece is what we've been talking about already. That's what's already built, and it's already monetized through a subscription service. It's a freemium model where people can come and purchase a lost pet recovery services for a couple of dollars a month, $30 a year, that type of thing. We are building upon that with our share and nurture aspects. So share is allowing third-party apps and services to plug in, and then nurture is all about this curated content. As we build out those parts of our platform, we're going to be adding value onto what we give for our subscription services and allow that subscription service to continue to grow and expand there. Right now, we're at about a 9.5% upgrade rate to our subscription services, which has already grown. It's doubled in the last year. And as we continue to add on more value to what we're giving to the pet parents, it continues to grow. So we're looking, the sky's the limits, but we're looking at hundreds of millions in revenue in the next few years, just based on what we've got in our projections. We're pretty excited about it.
That's really cool. We haven't seen many models that, well, at least on this podcast or in veterinary domain, that is monetizing API. I think it's a brilliant model. What is the Google service that actually helps you to monetize? Apigee, I think they're called.
Yeah, Apigee. Yeah.
So they really help you to scale that. So I was learning a lot about them, and they had a cool workflows to do that. So we blew through again 20 plus minutes, as we usually do, very quickly. Thank you so much for finding the time to meet with us, and thank you for bringing your product here. We have 2 questions that we usually ask all the guests. So question number 1 is there a book, a video, a TED Talk, or anything else that inspired you recently that you would like to share with our listeners?
I'd love to. One of my favorite books is Simon Sinek's Start With Why. And it's one that I keep going back to, that core bullseye of why we're doing what we're doing, and then build out from there. And a recent book that I read, I'd like to add a second one in there, is Dare to Lead by Brené Brown. I've always been a big fan of Brené Brown because I am a recovering perfectionist. And so her gifts of imperfection has always been very important to me. But her book, Dare to Lead, as I've moved into this CEO role, has really helped me refine how I'm working with my team and how we're communicating with each other.
That's awesome. Both books are really great. And I think that we should start getting a bit of a cut from Simon, because
I know the number of promotional minutes we've given him is unbelievable.
We should be getting like at least, we should be a channel. There's like Facebook, LinkedIn, and our podcast.
I think so. Yeah. Shout out to old Simon. Come on our show and talk to our people.
There you go. That'd be good.
So, Lorien, another question for you. Is another innovator in the veterinary space that you think we should have on the show?
Well, I'm going to recommend, and I don't know if you've already talked to her or not, but Dr. Jessica Vogelsang. She has been tremendous from our perspective, just in giving us advice, feedback. She's a guest that comes on Pet Lover Geek a lot. And she has been tremendous recently in the push for getting telehealth to be, widely accepted across the United States. And I believe, I'm going to look over here. You guys can't see me looking, those that are listening, but I'm going to look over here on my LinkedIn. I believe she was just named Chief Medical Officer at the American Animal Hospital Association. And she just does really tremendous work with helping get content out to help veterinarians grapple all of the technology that's coming their way. And she's just a really tremendous person. She'd be a phenomenal guest for you guys to have on the show.
Thank you so much for listening to the Veterinary Innovation Podcast. If you want to hear about our new episodes, please follow us on any social media channel. Also, you can check out our website at veterinaryin.podcast.com. See you next week.